Woo! Man, I got to tell you, that was close. I thought we were going to get through a season without hearing anything stupid out of Sheryl Swoopes' mouth, and anything that sounds rather interesting, something that you might choose to give some side eye to.
The WNBA was abuzz when the Indiana Fever entered the league with a dramatic twist. They eliminated two prominent rookies from the team in a single drastic decision that shocked the basketball community. The president of the anti-Caitlin Clark group, Sheryl Swoopes, emerged from the shadows as if it were her own return tour, just as fans were attempting to make sense of it. But this time, Caitlin Clark wasn't the only person she was targeting. The entire Fever operation was involved.
You have a black player that just got cut, and Sheryl Swoopes is not happy about that.
What started as a standard roster shakeup quickly turned into full-blown league drama dripping with tension, and the kind of headlines that practically write themselves. When we all thought Swoopes has been banished into parts unknown, she still finds herself randomly reappearing out of nowhere. What did she have to say? And how is the Indiana Fever shutting down all this noise? Let us know in the comments what you think of Swoopes. Let's go.
Call me nuts, but unfortunately for the old WNBA fandom and media, in her case, media and old players, unfortunately, in some cases, you do feel like there is something else lurking behind said opinions that may not be basketball related. Let's put it that way.
Well, let's begin with the cuts that garnered media attention. One of the most aggressive preseason roster moves in recent memory was just made by the Indiana Fever. The electrifying guard and two-time national champion from South Carolina, Bree Hall, was fired before she had an opportunity to play for actual minutes. Yes, not a single second of the first game versus Washington. She was gone after just a few minutes against Brazil. Additionally, wait, because the Fever wasn't over if that seemed like a stomach punch.
Hall is now gone, as you know, and today it was announced that Yvonne Ejim has been waived by the Fever as well. Sophie Cunningham talked about that yesterday, saying you can latch on to another team, another place.
Just because you didn't make a roster doesn't mean you're out of the W Club.
About 24 hours later, the team revealed that two rookies with impressive college resumes and genuine promise were given pink slips before they could even unpack their bags. Ivan Egypt, the Gonzaga team's top scorer, and a player with enough heart to power the entire Pacific Northwest, was also cut. There was hardly enough time for either to warm up. Absent exactly like that, that's the brutality of professional sports on full show. Talent isn't the only factor. Timing, fit, and perhaps roster math are key factors. Basketball's business side meets dreams.
The Indiana Fever, as expected, have waived Yvonne Ejim. She's just not at the level that the Indiana Fever are hoping her to be at.
The Fever announced it directly. Thank you, Yvonne Ejim, who was the all-time leading scorer in Gonzaga history.
And naturally, the question arises, why these two? You must see the Fever's salary cap scenario in order to comprehend the sting. The Fever could only afford to have 11 players on the roster because to Katie Lou Sampson's huge contract, which they had to buy out in order to add important veterans. The Fever would still be responsible for paying the salaries of all the veterans, including Natasha Howard, Dana Bonner, Sydney Colson, Bree Turner, Sophie Cunningham, Dyrus Dantas, and the recently resigned Kelsey Mitchell. If their contracts were terminated, the only players under their initial rookie contracts that they signed when they were drafted have the potential to be cut from the current squad and have their pay wiped from the books, referring to Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark. Furthermore, no sane person would cut these three. This indicates that 10 of the 11 roster spaces are reserved.
Man, it's hard, right? We all reached out. I think that they brought really good people in, great people into training camp this year. But just because you didn't make this squad, this is probably one of the harder rosters to make in the W this year. It doesn't mean you're out of the W, and you just got to keep ready, keep playing, keep grinding it out. And if it's hard to make the league. I know Sid and I, we were second rounders. We stuck. Her experience is a little bit different than mine, but just because you didn't make a roster doesn't mean you're out of the W Club.
In actuality, all three rookies, including Michaela Timpson, who has been displaying flashes of talent during preseason games and training camp, are merely vying for one position. Given the need for younger forwards in the rotation, Timpson's ability to run the floor and provide exceptional defense, it is highly likely that she will take that place. She is referred to some admirers as the steal of the draft. Selected in 19th place despite many expecting her to be in the top 10.
Kayla Simpson is obviously at a certain level. She's a rim runner. She just obviously has a higher ceiling than Ejim at the moment. And this is maybe a hot take.
For Hall and Egypt enthusiasts, the strikes in a different way. This was more than just a box score. It was the harsh competition for a championship window. Wage caps and roster positions, these cuts are painful because they reflect more than just skill. They stand for optimism suddenly. 2 dreams were postponed.
After all, we saw Sheryl Swoopes in rare form, hating on Caitlin Clark all last year. Well, maybe she has figured out, well, hating on Clark, I've been told that's not really a great idea, yada, yada, yada. So what other white girls can I tune up from the Indiana Fever?
The backlash, of course, came quickly, and there was none other than Sheryl Swoopes leading the charge with a megaphone. Swoopes lit up as soon as Bree Hall's cut appeared in the press, as if she had been anticipating this kind of controversy all off-season. It wasn't a casual return, it was a full-fledged verbal abuse.
Example, the Washington Mystics Indiana Fever game. Because I know on social media, people were like, well, why aren't the starters in for the Mystics? They could win this game. And I was there, right? Because preseason is about, yes, you're going to play your starters, you're going to play your players. Typically, they don't even play that many minutes, right? Because you have so many players on your roster that you got to make roster cuts. So you're still trying to figure out who can fit what we're doing.
Swoopes did more than just voice her worries on the most recent women's hoop show broadcast. Stephanie White, the head coach, was the main target of her one-woman verbal assault. Swoopes claims that White essentially undermined the rotations rather than just handling them poorly. Why, she inquired, while players with less potential received priority minutes, was Bree Hall kept on the bench.
I did have a question, though, with Indiana, right? Because even though the starters weren't in, like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall they've been in the league for a while. You actually had players who, like Bree Hall, why wasn't she in that game per se? If you're still trying to figure out who's going to make the team, who you're going to cut. So I was a little confused with what Steph was doing.
Why wasn't Bree Hall playing if you're still debating who to cut, she insisted, as if it weren't clear enough. The undertone was even more so. It was more than simply basketball IQ. It was about who is given the benefit of the doubt, who is given the opportunity to prove themselves, and who is ignored before they have a chance to perform. You should reconsider. If you believe Swoopes was finished, she increased the intensity by targeting Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall, the 2 players that did profit from White's strategy. Swoopes targeted 2 women, but she surgically questioned their presence. Let's just say that the ramifications of the manner she presented it were loud enough to reverberate throughout every WNBA Twitter space.
Okay. This is gonna be a spicy season, cause Kiki was like, what, Sophie? Girl, don't come over here. Sophie was like,
already,
I was
game one.
Here for it. But the fact that that's a rookie, right?
I know.
Kiki,
she did not back down.
But she just turned and laughed. She was like, what? What did you say? What are we doing?
The remark that essentially validated her viewpoint then appeared now that she had been warned to leave Clark alone. Swoopes said with a good dose of sarcasm that perhaps she might concentrate on educating the other white females about the fever. It's not subtle, it's not shadow, that's a narrative bomb dropped in the middle of the room with a full spotlight.
My goodness, I mean, we've had 2 preseason games. 2! And we're back to it. We're back here. She's criticizing Stephanie White. I bet Sheryl Swoopes hates that last name. Criticizing Stephanie White, and of course it relates to Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham. Ooh, I bet Sheryl Swoopes hates her. Some Sophie Cunningham. You know she does.
Remember, this is not Swoopes' first encounter with anti-Clark. She was among the first to raise concerns about Caitlin Clark's records. Everything about her, aside from her shoe size, was impressive, including her leadership, age, elegance, and attitude. Additionally, Swoopes isn't solely focused on Clark now that he has the full support of the Indiana Fever and fans worldwide. Her gaze is fixed on the entire perimeter, anyone who dares to join Clark in creating this new WNBA superpower, including Cunningham and Hall.
Swoopes hadn't shied away from speaking her mind, as last season she raised questions about the legitimacy of Indiana Fever stars Caitlin Clark's collegiate scoring record. During the recent episode, Swoopes questioned Fever head coach Stephanie White's decision to give veterans like Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham minutes over Bree Hall and then cut her without giving her a fair opportunity to prove herself.
It's starting to become rather obvious at this point Swoopes is not merely against what the Fever are constructing. She is upset about it. She doesn't want to celebrate how the league is changing as a result of this inflow of young, self-assured talent at every stage. She is present to question contest, and if needed scorch the court with criticism. However, Clark and the Fever are creating excitement while Swoopes is stirring the pot. Yes, it hurts that they eliminated 2 talented rookies, but they did so with the clear intention of becoming a contender. Yvonne Ejim and Bree Hall, their prospects are bright without a doubt. We also commend them for their class, hustle, and heart. However, they are all suffering from a fever, and the league is beginning to take notice.
The preseason doesn't have to be just about your draft picks at all. It can be about, I need this team to learn how to build chemistry on the floor together, working as a team. By the way, learning my system because I'm a new coach and we're not playing under the Christy Sides rules anymore. You played basketball, Sheryl Swoopes? I don't understand.
This is the point at which Swoopes' hot opinion begins to melt because, let's face it, Coach Stephanie White didn't make some haphazard roster choices. They were strategic and based on a single principle that is crucial for a new reorganized team attempting to establish its identity, fit, chemistry, and experience.
Keep in mind, a lot of this team is new to each other. So getting minutes upon with a new player like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull together, and some of these others, veterans, I'm sure is a priority. It's not about getting the minutes to prove whether or not they make the team. This team has to build actual chemistry if they want to win a title. That's what this is about.
In the WNBA, experience is more important than raw talent. At this level, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull have earned genuine hard-won minutes. They are familiar with the grind of a professional season tempo and spacing. They are anchoring them rather than learning the ropes with a squad as youthful and well-known as Indiana's. You need players who know how to diffuse tension rather than escalate it.
The whole team, outside of your core 4, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull, basically the whole rest of the whole team's new. Dantas is on there. Oh, you get my point, but you got a bunch of new pieces.
Speaking of demonstrating your worth, Sophie Cunningham accomplished just that. She did more than simply turn up during the Fever's exhibition match versus Brazil. Vocal leadership, a strong presence that said, I belong here, and a two-way hustle. This gamer did not receive freebies. This veterinarian challenged anyone to debate her position by holding onto it with both hands naturally, though none of that was included in Swoopes' diatribe. Rather, she turned it into something sinister, a claim that Clark and her team are a part of a system that excludes worthy young athletes.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. She's definitely an X factor.
Let's take a moment to zoom out and recognize the ridiculousness of what is taking place. Instead of being recognized like the once-in-a-generation star that she is, Caitlin Clark, the record slayer, logo sniper, and smiling point guard who made the Indiana Fever must-watch TV, is being treated like some sort of cosmic disturbance. This woman has transformed preseason games into pay-per-view events, attracted millions of new fans, and changed the media's perception of women's sports. She not only increased the intensity of the Indiana Fever, but also stimulated the WNBA economy as a whole. Sales of tickets are skyrocketing. TV ratings have never increased. Merchandise sales, the league never anticipated Caitlin Clark's stimulus package.
This team is going to break so many records this year. Attendance, viewership, merch sales, all of the things.
This was a preseason WNBA game. It is unbelievable what it is Caitlin Clark does.
Whenever Caitlin Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball.
However, as we've all seen, fame may lead to conflict. Sheryl Swoopes is the name given to the friction in Clark's case. Last year, Swoopes took every opportunity to disparage Clark's college scoring records with a hint of doubt. She's back at it this year. However, she is now bringing Clark's teammates into the fray and portraying the Fever's hiring practices as coded favoritism. Furthermore, the implications are loud enough to overpower reason regardless of fairness.
People were so excited for this game for many reasons, but the main one being that Caitlin Clark would be returning to Iowa to play at Carver Hawkeye Arena. The Brazilian national team, even though they lost by that much, it still seemed like they had a great time. Caitlin was signing their jerseys after the game. They were taking photos with her.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
However, this is the reality that is constantly obscured by all of this cacophony. Players are not being cut by Caitlin Clark. She is not controlling the salary cap, creating rotations, or establishing preseason lineups. That's on the Fever brass and Stephanie White. However, every decision the Fever make will be associated with Clark because she is the team's most visible star. Every minute played, every cut, every contract, whether she likes it or not. She is currently living in that pressure cooker.
Sheryl Swoopes is in mid-season hateration form. I'm sorry, this looks a different way to me. All right? There's no other way around it.
Even more telling is the fact that Swoopes made it apparent that this commentary is ongoing. This is going to be a season-long grudge match. Based on her tone, there will always be someone willing to say yes when Clark shines. However, the stakes are quite high inside the Indiana locker room. There is more to this than just chemistry. It's about prospering in a fishbowl and weathering a media storm. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Cunningham, Hull, Bonner, Howard, Carlson, Dantas, Turner, and the player who will be the 11th. Although there is a lot of talent on this team, talent does not always equate to teamwork. They'll need trust, perseverance, and a level of concentration that can ignore the whirling turmoil if they want to be a title contender.
And unfortunately, I think they're not only going to go after Caitlin Clark this year, they're going to go after Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. There, I said it out loud.
Additionally, Clark's every action is monitored under a microscope. She is expected to transcend rather than merely flourish. If you miss a shot, it will become popular. Drain a logo. 3. Weave a no-look dime, turn the ball over, cue the thought pieces, or execute a game-winning run that will provoke as well as inspire. Because Clark is more than just a player in the modern WNBA, it's about what Clark stands for. She is redefining a new generation rather than merely bringing it in. Furthermore, not everyone is prepared for that journey. This change is perceived as a danger by the old guard. It's a revolution in progress for the new school. Let's hear it now. Was Swoopes telling the truth to the powerful? Or is this just another instance of the status quo attempting to control the spotlight? Leave a comment with your ideas. Additionally, let us know if you agree with Caitlin Clark and the Fever, and share your thoughts with the world. Imagine what happens when the actual season starts if this is only the heat of the preseason. To ensure you never miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications.